Am I audible? Okay. Okay. So today I will discuss generic class. Okay. So generics abstract over types. Okay. So it's an abstract type. You can say these type of things. Okay. Regarding this generic class. So classes, interfaces, and method can be parameterized by types. Okay. So see, in case of types, okay, that means in cases of classes, interface, and methods, you can parameterize it by means of different types. Means in a method, you can pass an integer argument. In a method, you can pass a character argument. Okay, so those are different types. Okay, now generic is one such type. Okay, you can think about. Okay, so generics provides increased readability and type safety. Okay, so later I will discuss means how readability can be improved and how it is providing type safety. Now, a class definition with a type parameter is stored in a file and compiled just like other class. Of course, गजर लगी है, गजर लगी है। class definition with a type parameter is stored in a file and compiled just like other classes. So generic class we can compile it like other class. Okay. Once a parameterized class is compiled, it can be used like any other class. Okay. So once you can compile a parameterized class, it can work with means it can work like other class. Okay. However, the class type plug in for the type parameter must be specified before it can be used in the program. Okay. So, but what which type you want? Okay, that you have to specify before using that class. Okay. Doing this, set to instantiate a generic class. Okay. Suppose for a generic class sample, you are specifying the type as string. Okay. So the object you are creating for the sample class, that object will work with string. Okay. So this is the way by which you can create a object of a generic class. Okay, just see the code. 1 minute. So just see the code. See what we are doing. Earlier, what we have written public class sample. Here we are writing public class sample, then the type. Okay. Now this type is a abstract type. We are not specifying the type in the class. Okay, the type is abstract. That type may be any type that we will specify. Okay, so it can be string, it can be other type. Okay, it can be integer type, it can be character type, it can be boolean type. Okay, so it can be anything. Okay, it can be any user defined type. Okay, so sample t in this case, what we are saying, it is sample string. So if we are specifying string, then t becomes string. Now private string data, public void set data string new data, data equal to new data, public string get data return data. Okay, so this is a code that you can accept. Here you are not specifying the string within the class, you are supplying it from the outside. Inside the class, it is an abstract type of thing. Okay, you are defining it, but you are not means you are declaring it, but you are not defining it inside the class. This type may be different for different object of the same class. Okay, so here if you write sample integer full integer integer object new sample integer, in that case this t will be integer, then this will be integer, this will be integer, this will be integer. Okay, so the class definition with type parameter, you can pass type as a parameter into this class. So this type of class is known as generic class. Okay, so any question up to this? Any doubt?
Pass any primitive type like int
No, you
or
cannot.
double, this
No,
type of thing.
in case if you want to use int instead of int, you can use integer integer. You cannot pass int. You cannot use int.
Sir, can we use data type as a name of function?
Data type.
As a name of function, as you written here, public t get data. I will call TJ abstract data.
Public
Public T
data.
get data.
Get data,
Second,
huh?
second. Yes, sir. Can because TJ abstract data type. Okay. And then it is possible to write the same as a name of function. That is T get data.
Is a type.
Yes, sir.
What you are asking?
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Now it is clear.
So I think up to this it is clear to everybody.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So a class that is defined with a parameter for a type is called a generic class or a parameterized class. Okay, so this type of class with type parameter is known as generic class or parameterized class. Okay, the type parameter is included in angular bracket after the class name in the class definition heading. Okay, so the type name will be present into the class definition heading with angular bracket. Okay, so we are writing it over here. Then any non-keyword identifier can be used for the type parameter, but by convention the parameter starts with an uppercase letter. So in place of T, you can use any name, but that name must be a non-key of Java. Means there are some keyword in Java. Okay, so public, then private, then class, then int, then char. These are keyword in Java. So you cannot, in place of T, you cannot use those. Okay, or you can use any other name, but the convention is the first letter will be a uppercase letter. Okay, the type parameter can be used like other types used in the definition of a class. Okay, so it can be used as other type. Okay, now see this example. Public class pair T is a type. Private key first, private key second. So this is private variable, so we cannot access it outside of the class. Now we are after pair, then first equal to null, second equal. Then another first item, second item, first item, second item. Then set first, key first, so save of first, then set the value again, then get, okay, get first, getting the value of first, then getting the value of second, get second. Okay, then there is a toString method. We are overriding the toString method of that per class. So return first dot toString, then a new line, then second dot toString. Okay, then we are writing a method. If we are passing a object of this class, and if we match that object of that class, whether these two objects are same or not. Okay, so if it is same, then it will return true, otherwise false. So if other object equal to null, then return false. If get class not equal to other object get class, means the second object is not of same class, then return false. Else compare first one and second one. If first first equal to first of other object and second equal to second of other object, then return true. Otherwise, return false. Okay. So so here we are writing. Okay. So uh, Upmanu, please what? Are you online?
Hello. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Upmanu Chou.
Yes, sir. Actually, I was outside, sir.
Why
Just
you
Sir,
are
your
joined the
voice
class.
is not audible.
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
1 minute. Am I audible?
You're audible.
Am I
Yes, sir.
audible now?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay. One minute. Okay. Now see this. Am I audible?
yes, sir, you are audible.
Yes, sir.
So see
Yes, sir.
here, we are writing public static void main. Okay. Pair string string pair. So we are creating an object of pair class with string type parameter. Okay. New pair string happy and day. We are passing two uh, parameters. Okay. In the constructor. Okay. First one is happy. Second one is day. So happy is assigned to first and day is assigned to second. Okay. Then scanner keyboard new scanner system in system of printer and enter two words. Okay. So now program is running and program is asking to enter two words from the keyboard. Means program is asking two words from the user. So user is typing two words. First one is assigned to word one and second one is assigned to word two. Then we are writing this. We are creating another object. The object name is input pair, and the first is word 1 and second one is word 2. Okay, in case of input pair. Now, this if input pair equals to secret pair. So if user enter happy and day here, in that case this will be true. Okay. In that case, input pair will be equal to the secret pair. This one. In that case, we will get output system of println. You guessed the secret word. System of println in the correct order. So you guess the secret word in the correct order. That will be the output. If you have entered other words, then this will be means program will execute else part. So system of println, you guessed incorrectly. You guessed input pair, means input pair will be converted into string, and we will get that output. The secret words are secret pair, means the toString method will be the output. Okay. In this method, if you run this program, then suppose n words, you have entered two words, means two, one word is two, first word is two, and second word is words. So you will get output, you guessed incorrectly, you guessed first two, second words. The secret words are first happy, second day. Okay, so this will be the program output. So, any doubt regarding this program?
No, sir.
Any doubt regarding this program?
এই অবজেক্ট ডট গেট ক্লাসটা কি করে? দুজনের ক্লাসের ক্লাসের নেমটা ফেচ করছে।
গেট ক্লাস
একটা জায়গায় অবজেক্ট ডট গেট ক্লাস এরকম কিছু একটা ছিল, ওটার সাথে দুটোকে চেক করছিল।
গেট ক্লাস মানে হচ্ছে যে তুমি যে দুটো এখানে দুটো অবজেক্টকে কম্পেয়ার করছো, ঠিক আছে? তাহলে যদি দুটো অবজেক্ট যদি একই ক্লাসের অবজেক্ট না হয়, তাহলে দুটো অবজেক্ট তো সেম হওয়ার কোনো চান্স নেই।
আচ্ছা,
একটা অবজেক্ট হচ্ছে এ ক্লাসের আর একটা অবজেক্ট হচ্ছে বি ক্লাসের, ঠিক আছে? যদি ক্লাসটাই আলাদা হয় তাহলে তো দুটো অবজেক্ট সেম হওয়ার কোনো চান্স নেই
না।
হ্যাঁ, তাহলে হচ্ছে প্রথমেই ফলস রিটার্ন করবে, ভ্যালু গুলো আর চেক করতে হবে না, তাকে প্রথমেই ফলস রিটার্ন করবে। বা অবজেক্টটা নেই হয়তো, অবজেক্ট ইকুয়াল টু না, তাহলে সেটা ফলস রিটার্ন করবে। বা অবজেক্টটা থাকলেও যদি সেটা ডিফারেন্ট ক্লাসের অবজেক্ট হয় তাহলে সেটা সেম হওয়ার কোনো চান্স নেই, সুতরাং ফলস রিটার্ন করবে।
স্যার ওখানে ওই আদার মানে গেট ক্লাস যেটা আছে মানে এলসিফ পোর্শনটাতে গেট ক্লাস নট ইকুয়ালস টু আদার অবজেক্ট ডট গেট ক্লাস, তো ওটা মানে আমরা ডাইরেক্ট মেথডটা কল করতে পারবো ওরকম হবে, মানে গেট ক্লাস মেথডটা?
এটা হচ্ছে গেট ক্লাস মেথডটা তোমার ইয়ে থেকে আসে, ল্যাং থেকে আসে, ল্যাং।
আচ্ছা, তো ওটা মানে
এটা স্ট্যাটিক মেথড।
স্ট্যাটিক মেথড, আচ্ছা।
ওকে, আর কোন কোশ্চেন আছে?
স্যার তো স্ট্যাটিক মেথডটাতে ক্লাস নেম লাগবে না যখন আমরা কল করছি ওখানে?
মেইন মেথডে কি ক্লাস নেম লাগে? তুমি তো মেইন মেথডটাও যখন করো তখন কি ক্লাস নেম দিয়ে করো?
না না না। ও আচ্ছা।
তাহলে okay. So I think everybody aware about list data structure পড়েছো?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So this is a list. Okay, and list সবাই data structure পড়েছো. So we can add element into the list. Okay. At the front, at the middle, at the end. Means at any position of the list, we can add element. Okay. So list, what is list? An ordered sequence of element, each accessible by a zero-based index. Array index started with 0. One of the most basic collections of data. Okay. So here we have implemented the list by means of an array. Okay, so this is an array of element. Okay, and where we can add element, we can delete element from that. Okay, so one of the most basic collections of data. Now, class array list, then a type parameter implements the notion of list using a partially filled array. So array list is a very class. Okay, and is implement the notion of list. Okay, and as we are not specifying the type and it is a generic type, we can build any type of list with any type of parameter. It may be a string list, it may be an integer list, it may be a double list, it may be a user defined type of list. Okay, suppose you have defined a class of your own and in the list you want to put the object of those classes, the object of those class. Okay, that is also possible. Okay, so array list is a generic class. Using generic class, you can create any type of list. Okay, and you can conceptually think about a list with partially filled up array. Suppose this is an array, and this array having how many elements? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 elements are there. Among these, 10 are filled. Sorry, first 4 are filled and remaining are still empty. So it is a partially filled up list. So list size is 4. Okay, as there are 4 elements. Okay, and when you want to use array list, remember to import java.util.star. So this array list is inbuilt in Java. So you can just import this package, then you can use array list. Okay. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Now features of array list. Think of it as a auto-reciting array that can hold any type of object with many convenient methods. Okay. What is this? You can think about a auto resizing array. Means we know that array means size is fixed, but array list size is varying. Means if the element in the list is changing, the size is changing. Okay, and uh, as I have told, we can create a type of list. So it is written that can hold any type of object, and there are many convenient methods for that. Okay, we can deal, means there are many methods that is already defined within the array list class. We can use those methods. Okay, maintains most of the benefits of array, such as fast random access. Okay, it also maintains of the major benefits of array, that is fast random access, free from previous operation on arrays such as sliding and reading. Okay, so sliding array means, suppose your array size is 100. Suppose if you delete the first element of the array, what you have to do? You have to shift remaining 99 of the array to the left. This is sliding. And resizing it, when suppose initially when you have created the array, suppose the size of the array is 100. If you want to enter any object more than 100 object, if you want to enter that, you have it. Okay, so as resizing. Okay, so that is not required array. So string is required in array list. It's required. Don't have further.
Sir, you are not audible.
It is okay. Audible.
Yes.
If you in the array list, if you store different element, and if you call toString method array list, that will print the all element of the array list. So suppose in a array list, suppose you are having these 4 elements, 1, then 2.65, then multi stick, then hello. So if you call toString method of array list, then you will get this type of output. Okay. Now, what I have told earlier, ArrayList E is a generic class. E is the placeholder in which you write the type of elements you want to store into the array list. Example, ArrayList string words, new ArrayList string. Okay. Now the method of words will manipulate and return strings. Okay. So the type you are supplying here is string. So string will be E. E or E will be string. So now these array list, these words, the name of the object is words, and these words can store string as element of the array list. Okay, so now the method words will manipulate and return strings. Okay, now see the difference between array and array list. You can declare array like this, string, then this, then names equal to new string, then size of the array. Now if you want to put Jennifer as the first element of the array, you have to write this. If you want to take the value of the first element, you have to write this. Okay, so I think everybody knows these operations. Array?
Yes, sir.
No doubt about it. Okay. Array list string, name list, new, array list string. So name list is the name of the array list. So if you want to add one element into the array, you have to call the add method. What I have told, there are various methods into the array list. So you can call add method and add Jennifer to the name list. Then string name list dot get 0. Okay. Now if you want the first element of the array list, then get 0. That will be returned. The first element of the array list will be returned to name, and then it is means see first operation in case of array, you are declaring the array. So to declare the array list, you have to write this. To add the first element, you have to do this. To add the first element, you have to do this in the array list. You have to call the add method. Now to get the element from the array list, you have to put string name list get method. Okay, so you have to use methods, inbuilt method. Okay, so is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, if you declare a list like this, okay, so after declaring this, if you print the list, okay, means you are calling the toString method of the list. So initially the list is empty. So the output is this. Okay, then after that you can add one element, and after that if you print the list will be this one element added. Then
থার্ড
second
ব্র্যাকেট গুলো
element.
আসবে,
Hmm?
এই
Hmm.
থার্ড ব্র্যাকেট গুলো ইনপুট
থার্ড ব্র্যাকেট গুলো আসবে, থার্ড ব্র্যাকেট গুলো আসবে এই কারণে যে within array list the toString method is implemented in this way.
আচ্ছা আচ্ছা
সেই জন্য এটা আসবে, ঠিক আছে। এটা অ্যাড করলে সেকেন্ড এলিমেন্ট অ্যাড করলে if you add second element, then after that if you print, then you will get this. After that if you add this third element, then you will get this. After that if you print this, then you will get this. So in this way, if you keep on adding elements into the list, you can do that, and after that you can print that. No problem. Okay, so similarly, you can remove element, add element, then remove element. So remove element 0, remove element 1. Okay, so suppose before remove list, okay, so before remove list, if this is the list, the system of println before remove list. So before remove list, this is the element. Okay, so there are four elements into the list. Okay, then you are removing the 0th element. So you are removing the tool. So the list becomes this: U2, fish, then pink Floyd. Okay, after that remove 1. So after that remove 1 means now this U2 becomes 0th element. After removal of tool, this U2 becomes the 0th element. So remove 1 means you will remove this. So the list will be U2 then pink Floyd. So if you write this system of printer and remove the last after remove last list, so the list is this. Okay, now notice this one. So initially this is the list. Okay, after this, after first remove, this will be the list. After remove 1, this will be the list. Okay, so is it clear to everybody? Okay. Next, if list contains fish. Okay, contents means it will check the list whether that element is present in the list or not. Okay, so if it is present, then it will return true. If it is not present, then it will return false. Okay. Integer index list index of fish. So what is the index of fish means what is the position of this element? It will return that. Okay, so if it is present in the 10th location, it will return 9 because it is the list is starting with 0. Okay, so system of println index, then list get index.
Sir, if it is present in multiple location, then multiple
It will
index.
return the first one. First one.
Okay, sir.
Okay, so if list contain Madonna, then system of Madonna is in the list. Okay, else Madonna is not found. Okay, so if you give the input means the earlier list, this one, so fish is present in the list. Okay, fish is present in the list. So the position is 2. 8, 0, 1, 2. So it will return 2 fish. Okay, so index, then list get index. Okay, fish. The element in the second position, so fish. So you will get 2 fish. And here Madonna is not present in the list, so you will get this output Madonna is not found. Madonna is not found. Okay, so I think you are understanding the what is the role of contents and what is the role of index of.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and another thing is that get index. Get index means you are putting 2 over here and you are getting the second element. Means not second element, third element of the list because it is starting with 0. Okay, so these are methods that those are already defined within the list. Okay, so suppose sometimes when we are doing a program, okay, and we don't know that how many elements will be produced during the execution of the program. Okay, so in that case, if you try to store it into array, okay, so you have to create a very big array, okay, and in that big array you may utilize a very small portion of that array because sometimes data requirement is so less, means the program is producing too less data, so the most of the memory that is allocated for array is not utilized. Okay, so what you can do, you can instead of using array, you can use array list, and as the size of the array list is dynamically varying, you don't have to declare the size of the array list. Okay, it will be automatic. And another facility you can get, instead of array, if you use array list, you can use this built-in method. Okay, and these methods are very simple. Okay, so you can just use this method and you can do your work very easily. Okay, so these are the means array list is obviously it is a better than array. And another facility you can get that when you are declaring an array, you have to store same type of element into the array, because at the time of declaration of the array, you are saying that it is a string type array, it is a character type array, it is a boolean type array. But in case of array list, you can use array list for any type of object. Okay, so you don't have to do the program again and again for different types of object. But in case of array, you have to declare different arrays for storing different types of objects. Okay, so are you getting the means? Are you means understanding the benefit of generic class?
Sir,
Means if you can
flexible.
understand the difference, yes, if you can understand the advantage of array list over array, then you can understand what is the advantage of generic class over normal one.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so up to this, any question?
Sir, I have one problem regarding previous slide.
Previous slide.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
List dot add.
Hmm.
List dot add function.
List dot add.
Sir, yes, sir.
Where it is?
I mean, maybe one or two slide back. Yes, sir.
Which one?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir. I have to understand, sir. I mean, example number third, list dot add pink floyd.
Hmm.
Sir, does Java provide a service to assign a sentence as a string? Because in another language, if we assign pink floyd, then it take up to only pink. Then after that, it will terminate the string.
So in case of Java, whatever you are putting inside doubles quotation, that will be considered as a string. Space is a character.
Okay, sir. Okay, sir. Fine. Then it's clear.
So any question from anybody after this?
আমি যখন জাভাতে কোনো অ্যারে লিস্ট বানাচ্ছি, বানানোর পর যখন অ্যাড করছি, তো ওটা সাইজ যখন বাড়ছে আস্তে আস্তে, তো প্রত্যেকবার বাড়ার সাথে সাথে বা ছোট হওয়ার সাথে সাথে কি একটা আলাদা জায়গায় গিয়ে ভ্যালু গুলোকে আবার কপি করে আবার ওখানে একটা বানাচ্ছে, না ওই ওটার সাথে ডাইনামিক্যালি স্পেস অ্যালোকেটেড হচ্ছে?
Dynamically space allocated.
অ্যারের
But
মধ্যে যে
you don't have to bother about it.
ওকে
It will be done by JVM.
ওকে তাহলে
অ্যারে ক্ষেত্রে তো আমি কমপ্লিট করে নিই।
ওকে
অ্যারে ক্ষেত্রে কি হচ্ছে, সাপোজ তুমি একটা অ্যারে ডিক্লেয়ার করলে, তার সাইজ হচ্ছে 10, ঠিক আছে? তাহলে তুমি ম্যাক্সিমাম কতগুলো এলিমেন্ট স্টোর করতে পারবে? 10টা। যেই 11টা করতে যাবে, তোমাকে আবার প্রোগ্রামটাকে নতুন করে লিখতে হবে, তাই তো? প্রোগ্রামটা নতুন করে না লিখলে 11টা এলিমেন্ট যেই স্টোর করতে যাবে, অ্যারে ইন্ডেক্স আউট অফ বাউন্ড এক্সেপশন দেবে, ঠিক আছে? কিন্তু অ্যারে লিস্টে সেটা নয়। তুমি অ্যারে লিস্ট ডিক্লেয়ার করো, কোনো সাইজ তো তোমাকে বলতে হচ্ছে না। ওকে, তারপর তুমি যত খুশি এলিমেন্ট অ্যাড করো, যত খুশি এলিমেন্ট ডিলিট করো, ঠিক আছে? অ্যারে লিস্টের সাইজ 0 হতে পারে, অ্যারে লিস্টের সাইজ 1 লাখ হতে পারে, তাতে কিছু যায় আসে না। জাভা উইল টেকেন কেয়ার অফ দোজ থিং। JVM, তোমাকে প্রোগ্রামারকে কোনো ওই ব্যাপারে বদার করতে হবে না, সেটাই হচ্ছে অ্যাডভান্টেজ।
আচ্ছা
ওকে,
ওকে
okay. So a generic constructor name has no type parameter. Okay, so see, although the class name in a parameterized class definition has a type parameter attached, the type parameter is not used in the heading of the constructor definition. Okay, so see here, when we are declaring a generic class, we are doing it like this. But when we are writing the constructor, we are not writing this t within angular bracket here. Okay. We are not writing pair then angular bracket t over here. But in argument, we can use t as a type. Okay. A constructor can use type parameter as the type for a parameter of the constructor, but not in this case. The angular bracket are not used. Okay. So in case of constructor, we are not using angular bracket. While defining class, we are using angular bracket. Okay. Now, however, when a generic class is instantiated, the angular bracket are used. See here, we are putting string inside angular bracket, then we are putting string here. Okay, and see here, this string is t. Okay, but here in the constructor, here we are calling the constructor, but this string is not means there is no angular t over here, but still we are writing this string, and this happy is first and this day is second. Okay, so try to memorize the syntax, otherwise if you try to do the program, that there will be some mistake. So you have to remember that you have to use angular bracket while defining the class, and in case of constructor, you don't have to use the angular bracket when we are declaring the object. Okay, instantaneity or when you are creating the object, you have to use angular bracket here and here when you are defining the type or giving the type or specifying the type. Okay, so syntax is clear to everybody?
Yes, sir.
Okay, the type plugged in for a type parameter must always be a reference type. Okay, it cannot be a primitive type such as int, double, char. Okay, so what I have told, there are two types of thing in Java. One is primitive type, another is reference type. Okay, any user defined type is a reference type. Okay, primitive type, int, double, char, float, these are primitive type. Okay, in case of generic class, you cannot use int, double, char. Okay, because you can use string because it's a reference type. It's not primitive type. String is not a primitive type in Java. Okay, so you can use string as parameter for generic class, but you cannot use int. Okay, so here in this program, here you cannot write int pair, two pair, int happy, or maybe 1 2. You cannot write, or you cannot use double, you cannot use char. Okay, but you can use any user defined type. Suppose user have defined a class student, so here you can write pair student, pair, then new pair student, you can write that. So now, however, now that Java has automatic boxing, this is not a big restriction. Means here in this case, what I have told, that you cannot use int, double, char, float. This may be a very big restriction, but Java have another thing which is known as auto boxing. Okay, so auto boxing is the automatic conversion that the Java compiler makes between the primitive type and their corresponding object wrapper classes. Wrapper classes. Okay. For example, converting int to an integer, a double to double, and so on. D capital here. Okay. So double D capital is a wrapper class of double. Okay. And another thing, reference times can include arrays. Okay. Arrays may be used as a parameter. Okay. So earlier, one student means 2-3 class ago, one student asked one question, what is wrapper class? Okay, I have told that I will discuss it later. So in this chapter, I will discuss wrapper class also. So integer class is a wrapper class of int. Double class is a wrapper class of double. Okay. So these are primitive type, and wrapper class are converting this primitive type data into reference type object. A primitive type object into reference type object. Okay, so integer is a primitive type, but integer, if you create object of integer type, then it is a reference type. And we can convert a int type into integer type, and we can also convert, this is known as boxing. Means we are putting int type inside a box, that is wrapper class, and that becomes integer. Similarly, the opposite thing, that if you can get int type from integer type, that is known as unboxing. Opposite thing. So what I have told here in this slide, is it clear to everybody?
So can you please repeat wrapper again?
I have to repeat it. Your voice is not clear. I have to repeat it.
Yes.
Okay. First, see some example. Then, if required, then I'll repeat it. See this one. Auto boxing. We are declaring integer type variable a equal to 50. Okay. Then integer a2, new integer a. Okay. So what we are doing? We are boxing a into a wrapper class, and wrapper class is creating an object a2 which will hold the value of a. This is known as boxing. Means we are putting a primitive type object into a wrapper, and that is known as the. Okay. Okay. Then we can create another object of wrapper class a3 equal to 5, and after that, if you write system out println a2, then a gap, then a3, it will print 50 and 5. Okay, from here. That will be done. So this is known as boxing. Okay. Now, opposite thing. We are creating an object of wrapper class I. Okay. Then we are writing int a, I equal to a. Okay. So here we are doing unboxing. It is a wrapper class. It is an object of wrapper class. We are unboxing it and putting it into inside a primitive type. Okay. So we have opened the box, and now it becomes a primitive type. Now we are printing the primitive type. So we will get 50. Okay. So is it clear now? Boxing and unboxing.
Sir, boxing and boxing is clear, but what is wrapper here?
Wrapper class. Wrapper class means in suppose integer int is a primitive type. Okay. Now corresponding to int, there is a wrapper class which is the class name is integer. This one, integer, which will put the primitive object, primitive data into a box, and then it will return a reference of that box. So by that, the primitive data will become a reference type object. Okay. So integer is a wrapper class. Okay. Double with D capital is a wrapper class. So for every primitive type data, there is a corresponding wrapper class, so that we can convert a primitive type data into reference type object, and we can use those objects into generic class. Because in case of generic class parameter, we cannot pass primitive type. See, here we cannot pass int double cap, but if you convert int into integer, then we can use it into the generic class. Because generic class can work with only reference type object. It cannot work with primitive type object. Is it clear? Auto boxing and unboxing is clear? Okay. Now limitations on type parameter uses. Within the definition of a parameterized class definition, there are places where an ordinary class name would be allowed, but a type parameter is not allowed. Okay. So in particular, the type parameter cannot be used in simple expression using new to create a new object. Okay. For instance, the type parameter cannot be used as a constructor name or like a constructor. So type by means of type parameter, suppose type parameter is integer. So it's a quite means type parameter is string. Suppose string s equal to new string first bracket open close. Okay, normally we can write that. Okay, but we cannot suppose key is string, but inside the class we cannot write this. This is not acceptable. String object equal to new string first bracket open close. That we cannot write inside the generic class. That is not allowed. Or we cannot write this. String, then this a equal to new string 10, we cannot write this. But outside of the generic class, we can write this. Means in place of t, we can write string, and that is a completely correct code. But inside generic class, using type, we cannot write this. This is not allowed. Okay. So this is one limitation. Okay. So arrays of like this are illegal. Although this is a reasonable thing to want to do, it is not allowed given the way the Java implements generic classes. Okay, it is not allowed. Okay. Now using generic class with an automatic boxing. Okay. See here. We are using the method that I have defined earlier, generic class, that is pair class. Okay. And in case of earlier example, I have used string. Okay. Earlier method. See here. Pair string, secret pair, new pair string, happy day. So in place of string, we will now use integer. Okay. And as we are using integer, so these values will be integer. Okay. And when we are using integer, integer is a wrapper class of int primitive type. Okay. So see here. So we have to do auto boxing. Okay. Pair integer, secret pair, new pair integer, then 42, 24. Okay. So scanner keyboard, new scanner, system in. System out println, enter two numbers. Keyboard means two numbers. We are entering two numbers. Okay, n1, n2. Then pair integer, input pair, new pair integer, n1, n2. Okay, so secret pair is 42, 24. And then program is asking the user to enter two numbers. So if you enter 42 and 24, then these two will be same. So you guess the secret number in the correct order. If it is wrong, if you have entered other number, then this will be executed and we will get this output. Okay. So enter two number 42, 24, you have entered it correctly, so you will get this. If you put other number, then you will get this output. Okay. So see here, we are putting the integer number over here, but this int is converted to integer object, and then we can work it inside a generic class, that is pair, that we have created earlier. So we can use generic class pair for integer as well as for string. So we can use it for, say, double, we can use it for char. Okay, we can use it for any other user defined type. Okay, so this is automatic boxing, generic class and automatic boxing. Okay, so is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Any question? Any question? Okay. Now, a generic class definition can have any number of type parameters. Okay. Now, so far, whatever generic class we have used only one type parameter, that is t. Okay, but it can be t1, t2, t3, t4, any number. Okay, so multiple type parameters are listed in angular bracket just as in the single type parameter case, but are separated by commas. Okay, so we can use t1, t2, t3, t4, but they will be separated by comma. Okay, see like this. Two type parameter t1 and t2 separated by comma, that is also allowed. Okay, and we are using this type parameter inside the generic class. So two variables are there, T1. First one is of type T1 and second one is of type T2. Okay, then we are creating a constructor, then another constructor, then another, so one variable, one method, set first, set second, get first, get second, okay, then toString, okay, then equals. Okay, so these are the method. Then see what we are doing over here. Two type pair string comma integer. So T1 is string, T2 is integer. Okay, so T1 is string, T2 is integer. So that is also allowed. Then other process are same. Okay, then we are passing the first as string and second one as integer. Okay, then remaining are same. Okay, so that is also allowed. That can be T1, T2, T3, T4, any type number. Okay, we do that. In this case, we have used two types. First type is string, second type is integer. That is also allowed. Okay, now another limitations of generic class. It is not permitted to create generic class except error, thread, or any descendant class of throwable. Okay, so in these cases we cannot use generic class. A generic class cannot be created whose objects are throwable. Okay, so public class GEXT extend throwable. Okay, so this type of example will generate a compiler error message. So if you write this, it is not allowed, and if you try to compile this will generate a compilation error. Okay, now there may be bounds for type parameter. What I have told that you can use t and you can assign any type of object to that parameter t. Okay, but you can also bound that. Means which type of object can be assigned into t, that you can specify. Okay, so sometimes it makes sense to restrict the possible types that can be plugged in for a type parameter t. Okay, for instance, to ensure that only classes that implements the compatible interface are plugged in for t, define a class as follows. So public class R class T extend compatible. Okay, so here in this case you are saying that which class which have already extended the compatible class, those classes type can be only assigned to T. Okay, so which class which have already extended the compatible interface, those classes can be assigned as T. Other classes cannot be assigned as T. Okay, so if you means any attempt to create a for T does not implement the interface will result in a similar error message. Okay, so is here. Is it clear or not clear?
Yes, sir.
If on maybe class, okay. So see, agent compatible. Compatible is inter. Okay. It will be a class name of the extend class one. So only
You are not audible. Your voice
our
is
classes or class
breaking.
one.
Sir, your voice is breaking.
Okay. Okay. Now it's audible.
Yes, sir.
Now audible. Okay. So in earlier slide, what I have told, T extend compatible. Okay. Compatible is a interface. So
স্যার
class which have already, yes,
স্যার বলছিলাম ওই আগের স্লাইডটাতে কিছু শোনা যায়নি, তাই আরেকবার বলবেন ওই স্লাইডটা।
এটা এই স্লাইডটা,
ইয়েস স্যার।
see, generic class has some limitations. So you cannot create generic class with exception throwable or any descendant class of throwable. Okay, so if you write a generic class, suppose public class, generic class, T extend exception, that is not allowed. You cannot do that because generic class cannot do this. Exception, error, throwable, or any descendant class of throwable. It cannot do that. Is it clear? This is not allowed. No concept of any exception, throwable, error in case of generic class.
Okay, sir.
Okay. Now this one is that this live.
Sir, again, your voice is breaking.
Yes, sir. Too much breaking.
Is it everybody? This slide is everybody.
Sir, you are not audible properly.
This slide is clear everybody. Wait. Audible?
ইয়েস স্যার অডিবল।
Yes, sir.
Okay, so is it clear to everybody? This slide?
নো স্যার, এটাও আরেকবার বলে দিন স্যার।
এটা ক্লিয়ার নয়?
নো স্যার।
consider public class are plenty. If you read like case, P can be any current stack. Okay, as before. If you want that P will be type which extend compatible interface. P will be the type for class which extend classes which extends compatible interface or which implement compatible interface. Then only means if a class implements compatible interface, then only this class can be assigned as a type. Okay, you are restricting the type. You are restricting the type. Okay, so if you just after doing this, if you write say public class R class string don't have implement this compatible interface. So in that case, it will give compilation error. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now, similarly, if you say that P will take type which extend class 1. Suppose if you written say class A extend class 1, then A can be assigned as a type of P. So if class A don't extend class 1, then A cannot be assigned as P. Is it clear?
ইয়েস স্যার, ইটস ক্লিয়ার। স্যার যদি এরকম কেস হয় যে টিটা ওর মানে মিডলে একটা ক্লাস আছে যাকে এক্সটেন্ড করছে, আর ক্লাস ওয়ানটা তার পেরেন্ট ক্লাস, তো সেক্ষেত্রেও কি ওটা নেবে? মানে মাল্টি লেভেল ইনহেরিটেন্সের ব্যাপারটাও কি এখানে অ্যাপ্লিকেবল হবে?
বুঝলাম না, আবার বলো কোশ্চেনটা।
মানে টি এর এক্সটেন্ড করা উচিত ক্লাস ওয়ান। সাপোজ একটা ক্লাস ওয়ান একটা ক্লাস যে একটা ক্লাসকে এক্সটেন্ড করেছে, সাপোজ ক্লাস টু কে এক্সটেন্ড করেছে, অ্যান্ড তো সেক্ষেত্রে আমি যদি ওটা ইউজ করি তাহলে ওর যদি মানে টিটা যদি ওকে এক্সটেন্ড করে থাকে, তো ওই জিনিসটাও কি এখানে অ্যাপ্লিকেবল হবে? মানে মিডিলে
বোঝনি তুমি? না না না, ব্যাপারটা বোঝনি। টি কোনো ক্লাসকে এক্সটেন্ড করছে না। ওকে, আমি এখানে বলছি যে টি এক্সটেন্ড ক্লাস 1 মিন্স যে ক্লাসগুলো ক্লাস 1 কে এক্সটেন্ড করেছে সেই ক্লাসগুলোকে টি হিসাবে অ্যাসাইন করা যাবে, বাকি ক্লাসগুলোকে টি হিসাবে অ্যাসাইন করা যাবে না। টি কে এক্সটেন্ড করছে না, টি ইজ এ টাইপ। T is a type, T is not extending any class. এটার মানে হচ্ছে T extend class 1 means T তে তুমি সেই ক্লাসগুলোই অ্যাসাইন করতে পারো যেটা ক্লাস 1 কে এক্সটেন্ড করেছে, অন্য ক্লাসগুলোকে T হিসাবে অ্যাসাইন করতে পারবে না। তুমি স্ট্রিং T লিখতে পারবে না, ঠিক আছে? এটার মানে হচ্ছে T extend compatible. Compatible is a interface. তো টি সেই ক্লাসটাকে অ্যাসাইন করবে এটা compatible ইন্টারফেসে ইমপ্লিমেন্ট যদি থাকে যে a then you can assign a into t, otherwise not. ওকে, এবার হচ্ছে এটা কতগুলো পেপার। So you can, the number of interfaces may be any number, okay, but the number of classes will be only one. Okay, so here you can write T2 extend class 2 and compatible, and another interface name, suppose compatible 2, another interface name compatible 3, like that. But you cannot write T2 extend class 2 and class 3, and you cannot write. There will be only one class and there may be any number of interfaces. Because in Java, multiple inheritance is not allowed. So you cannot extend class 2, class 1, both for a single type. For different type, it is okay. So T1 extend class 1, T2 extend class 2, no problem. So is it clear?
Yes, sir.
So see here, T extend compatible, then T first, T second, max, then this. Okay. So you can use only classes as T which implements compatible interface. Okay, that can be assigned as T. Okay. Now an interface can have one or more type parameters. Okay. Now so far I have discussed generic class. Then I will discuss generic interfaces. Okay, so an interface, generic interface, can have one or more type parameters. The details and notations are the same as they are for classes with type parameters. Okay. So other things are same as class. Okay. So this is about generic. Okay. So when a generic class is defined, a type parameter can be used in the definition of the method for that generic class. Okay. So what we have seen earlier, see, suppose this is a generic class. Okay. Now this type parameter can be used in a method. Okay, that we have done. Okay. Now in addition, a generic method can be defined that has its own type parameter, that is not the type parameter of any class. Okay, so generic method may have its own type parameter which is not in the generic class definition. Okay, so generic method can be a member of an ordinary class or a member of a generic class that has some other type parameter. Okay, so the type parameter of a generic method is local to that method, not to the class. Okay, so generic method, first thing, a generic method can be a member of ordinary class. So inside a ordinary class, there may be a generic method. And another thing is quite obvious that inside a generic class, there may be a generic method that we have seen earlier. Okay. But inside a ordinary class, there may be a generic method. First one. Okay. Now the type parameter. So far, whatever we have seen, In the class, there is a type parameter. Now that type parameter is used as type parameter of the method. Okay. So the type parameter is a method, means the parameter is in a generic method, but each method may have its own also. Okay. So far we have seen that the type parameter of generic class is used at type parameter in the method. But later we will see the type parameter may be different. Type parameter generic different of generic. So the all
Sir, your voice is breaking. You
Sir,
are
your
not
voice
audible.
is distorted.
the this this
Sir, your voice is
you
breaking.
can
You are not audible.
find a method.
Sir, you are not audible.
Okay, wait. It's audible now.
No, sir.
Wait.
Vijay.
अरे बोल.
सारे लोग ज्यादा देखने नहीं गया.
It's audible now?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so if you want to use what I have told earlier, that if you want to declare a generic method, that generic method may be a member of ordinary class, it may be a member of generic class. Okay, so how you can declare a generic method? So the general syntax is this: public static, then angular bracket within within angular bracket t, then t generic method, then t, then bracket, then a. Okay. Now, how you can call this method? The way of calling this method is this. Okay. The string as t and generic method, then c. So passing is c. Okay. Now, inheritance with generic classes. A gen 1 minute.
ज्वाइन हुआ था 54-55 को, अभी वो खाली 38 है.
समझ रहा है राहुल?
खादरो खिलाड़ी मत भाई. डिवीजन 2 का क्वेश्चन अलग है क्या?
Okay. Now, is it audible?
Yes, sir.
Now, it is written a generic class can be defined as a derived class of an ordinary class or another generic class. Means the meaning is that a generic class may be a subclass of ordinary class or another generic class. Okay. As in ordinary class, an object of the subclass type would also be the superclass type. Okay, so as you have seen that superclass reference can refer to the subclass object, so that is true for generic class also. Okay, now there are two classes A and B, and given G, it's a generic class. There is no relationship between GA and GB. Okay, this is true regardless of the relationship between class A and B. That is, if class B is a superclass of class A. Okay, there is no relation. GA and GB, there is no relation. Okay. So a derived generic class. Okay. So class unordered pair extend pair. So unordered pair is a generic class which is subclass of another generic class, that is pair. Okay. Then we are writing the code. Okay, so this is the most important thing of this code. Other things are, I think, nothing to explain. Other things are same, means almost same. See here, we can extend, means we can derive a generic class from a superclass. Superclass may be an ordinary class. Superclass may be another generic class. Okay. So this is the output. Okay, and this is the end of this chapter, chapter 14. Okay. So is there any question
Okay, sir.
or any doubt?
No, sir.
Now, if you take old version of books, this generic class is not available. Okay, because in earlier versions of Java, this generic class facility was not there. This was added in Java version 2, I think. Okay, so in old books, this generic class chapter is not there. So in the new books, this chapter is added. Okay. When I learned Java, at that time, this generic class was not incorporated into Java. Later on, this is added into Java. Okay, so this is a new feature of Java. But now it is not new, it becomes quite old. Okay, but earlier it was not there. Okay. Any question from anybody? Any question from anybody? Okay, now see your syllabus, I think. Presentation. The chapter means this one, generic types and collections. Okay, so I have discussed this one today. Okay, so this is over. Okay, so in the next object-oriented programming class, I will take graphical programming with Swing. Okay, so GUI that I will discuss, and that
Okay,
will
sir.
be the last chapter of object-oriented programming. Means not object-oriented programming, the last chapter of Java. Okay, so next day will be the last chapter, last class on Java. Okay, then I will start this design pattern and UML. After that, UML. These two I will discuss. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Any question from anybody? So, if you don't have any question, then I am closing the class for today.